Bo, can you say that all over again? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It was really good. We have Otter on here. So we're at this mastermind. We get into these small groups, and someone said, "What's been the best purchase over the last 2 years?" And my answer was taking my mom on vacation. I'm doing that again this year. And so really, really good stuff, Bo. Love it. And I love that you have found like this new renowned sense of like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be successful. And I'll tell you what, you guys, Bo has the most incredible calves I've seen on a human being, and I don't know how long. So shout out to you, to your mom, and to your amazing calves, my man. So let's go ahead and get rolling on this beautiful, beautiful Friday morning. So I want to ask you, does anybody know the name Dean Carnase? Hopefully I'm saying that. He is an ultra marathon runner. Does anybody know who that dude is? All right, let me ask a better question. How many people on this call have ever ran more than a mile? Please give me a reaction down below on the screen so I can see. All right, cool. So people have ran more than a mile. Now, is there anybody on the screen that has done a half a marathon or a full marathon? Nice. Okay, cool. I saw Jim's hand go up. Sarah's hand went up. Mark's hand went up. I love this. Okay, cool. I didn't know we had so many runners. All right. So the year is 2012, to be exact, 2012. I drank. I smoked Marlboro cigarettes. I smoked at least a pack a day. Then I went from Marlboro cigarettes to menthol cigarettes. Why? Because they had a bite, and I like that bite. I like that every time I smoked a cigarette. Well, at the time, I met a girl who later became my wife, who now is my ex-wife. Anyways, I met her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm a runner. I just got back from doing the San Diego marathon, the rock and roll marathon." I'm like, "Cool." And so I'm trying to like court her and like get in her good graces. She's like, "Well, yeah, I don't really want to go on a date, but do you want to go on a run with me?" Oh, sure, I'll go on a run with you, right? I'll go on a run. She's like, "All right, we're going to meet at this place in Fresno. It's called Woodward Park. We'll meet here." And it's just a 5-mile loop. I was like, "Cool, let's go do this. I'm stoked." Well, I remember she gave me an little iPod and put it in, and I remember running to Rage Against the Machine. So I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm feeling this. All right, I'm feeling this. I could run." So we start running, and like there's that point where like I'm stopping. There's no way. I had never even ran a mile without stopping. I was always the kid that like when they ran the miles, like cutting the corners, kicking the dirt, and then there was like Joshua who was out in front running the 5-minute mile, and I'm sitting there kicking dirt. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna impress this girl. She's pretty. I want to be in her good graces. So we went the 2.5 miles, and I was like, cool. Like I've made it this far. I'm like, I can do this. And I'm having this mental challenge the whole entire time. Stop. You're like, "No, don't stop. She's going to think you're a chump. Don't stop. She's going to think you're a chump." Well, I kept running, kept going. And then we're coming back, and I was gauging it off of like, I could see street lights. I was like, okay, once we get to that street light, I'm good. Like that's the end of it. Well, it wasn't. It was like 3 more street lights. Anyways, I was able to finish the run. We get in the car. She's like, "I can't believe you did it. It was so stoked. Cool. You want to head back to my house?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool. Let's go." So we went back to her house. We get to her house. I open the door and I go to get out, and my legs are like trembling. I literally couldn't stand up, had to drink water. My hands or my feet and my legs were cramping up. But nonetheless, I made it through that run. After that, I stopped smoking cigarettes, and that was my motivation. I never smoked cigarettes again after that. Well, couple months later, we obviously started a relationship. Couple months later, she ended up having to go to the hospital, and she went into surgery, and she was there all day. So I'm there at the hospital, and somebody gave me a book. It was called The Ultra Marathon Man, Confessions of an All-Night Runner. And Jim, I don't know if you've ever read this book, bro, but if you haven't, please, and for all the runners on here, make sure to grab that book. The Ultra Marathon Man, Confessions of an All-Night Runner. It was the very first time in my life that in one day I read the entire book, and it was an absolute game changer. It wasn't just about him being a runner. It wasn't about all the things that he accomplished, because your body can do it. It's your mind that tells you no. And so he told me the story of how he mentally prepared and how he walked himself through all these crazy runs. And I'm going to share some of the examples of what this dude accomplished. It is absolutely mind-blowing. This dude would talk about doing 100-mile races. Check this out, 100-mile races. He would go from one marathon to another marathon, right? Consecutive marathons, right? If you've ever ran a marathon, that's tough on the body. He would do consecutive marathons. And then he's like, I'm going to raise it and I'm going to do these 100-mile runs. Then I'm going to do these 100-mile runs out in Death Valley in the middle of 117-degree heat, right? And his shoes would melt while he was running, and he had a pace car with him. So they would change his shoes because they were getting stuck to the ground because that's how hot it was, right? So this is all going to correlate in a minute, I promise. Well, I remember reading this story, and he is running this 100-mile run, and his wife would pace him with like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and like hook him up, and he would eat while he was running. He would stop for a couple minutes, but then keep on his trek. Well, he would feel stuff in his shoes. He's like, gosh darn it, there's a rock, there's something in there. I don't know what it is, but he would keep the course and he would keep running and keep running. Well, he would end these runs and take off his shoes, and all of his toenails were off. Because, hey, Dana. All right. So he would be running and all of his toenails would fall off because of how long he was running and the moisture, and he would keep going and nothing stopped him. And so I want to share some of his journey today, and then I want to turn it over to you guys to ask you some questions about how you've persevered, things that you've accomplished in your life that were super, super hard, and how you were able to get past it. So I don't usually do this, but sometimes I will. I'm going to share some slides right now with you guys, so bear with me. I'm going to share this, and boom, we're going to get right into this. So I didn't know that this was a Dean quote, but you've seen this at Starbucks. It's on cups in Starbucks. I've seen it at different places. Run when you can, walk when you have to, crawl if you must, just never give up. And I always correlate sports, athletics to what we do in real estate because there's obviously some parallels. So let's talk a little bit about his accomplishments and what he was able to accomplish. You guys, this is mind-blowing, and if this doesn't tell you that anything is possible, I don't know what will. So let's get right into this. So going the distance. So in his lifetime, Dean has ran over 100,000 miles. Think about that. 100,000 miles running throughout the country. He did a 135-mile Badwater ultramarathon through Death Valley. Now, this was the run that he had to have somebody pace him with shoes because his shoes were melting. As he's running up the mountain to Death Valley, you know, when you're on the highway, they have the middle line that is yellow, that is broken. And then on the right side, you have the white line before you go off the curb or whatever. He said he had to run perfectly on that white line because it was the coldest spot because the ground was so hot. So 135 miles through Death Valley. He ran 350 continuous miles in 80 hours. Think about this. 350 continuous miles in 80 hours. Check this last one out. He conquered 50 marathons in 50 states in 50 consecutive days. How many people on this call again have ran a marathon? Please raise your hand one more time. How did you feel after you ran that marathon? Was it exhausting? Was your body done? Were you spent? Yes. Okay. 50 marathons in 50 states in 50 consecutive days. So let's talk a little bit about the mindset and how he was able to accomplish this. He said that the biggest challenge was not the distance. The biggest challenge weren't the miles that he had to go. It wasn't Death Valley. It wasn't the 100 miles through the Sierra Nevadas. It was never that. He said it was the battle that he was going through internally. His body can do it. He is in peak performance shape. He works out. He is super active. He eats well. He has zero body fat. This dude is the epitome of like perfect health. He said the only challenge was his mind. And he said that's why he has ran for so many years, because of the growth that he's experienced internally, the conversations that he's had when he's on these 100-mile runs, the times where he said, no, that I'm not going to give up, and the growth that he has experienced through doing that. His mindset is listen to everyone and follow no one. And I think that's a powerful statement in itself. Listen to everyone, follow no one. Perseverance is more important than speed, right? Are you going to persevere through everything that we're accomplishing in our real estate career and so on and so forth? You are better than you think you are. That to me is probably one of the most important bullets in this entire slide deck. You are better than you think you are. We can accomplish more than what we truly, truly believe at times. I guarantee it. Most of us are able to run a mile right now. I guarantee that most of us can lift a little bit more weights. I guarantee that most of us can get over a seller objection, a buyer objection. We are all better than what we truly, truly think we are. There's magic in the misery, right? There is strength in the misery. There is opportunities in the misery. But if you never put yourself in that place, you're never going to know. Transcend the ordinary. And I love this too. Do the things that are not common to you. Do the things that are extraordinary and transcend the ordinary or ordinary. Comfort does not equal happiness. How many people have been uncomfortable in the last 6 months? Please raise your hand. Give me a reaction with the reaction button below. Please do that so I can see. Cool. If you've been uncomfortable, congratulations. Let me ask another question. How many of you have grown through your uncomfortability? Is that fair to say that you've grown through your uncomfortability? Totally, right? I see you shaking your head, Chris. My screen's not on, only have 5 people on the right side. But comfort does not always equal happiness. And then I wanted to share this with you guys. I think this is really, really cool. Move this over. Once you permit yourself to compromise, you fail yourself, right? And when I saw this, and I just put this in here, and like I said, I don't usually use slides, but I think it was a powerful conversation. Like, I'm not going to compromise with us not succeeding. I am not going to compromise with you guys not succeeding. I'm not going to compromise my ability to elevate and elevate. I'm not going to compromise, right? I'm not going to settle. If you saw Kwanzaa's video yesterday, he's like, I'm not going to settle for mediocrity. I don't like mediocrity. I hate mediocrity, right? Because once you permit yourself to compromise, then you fail yourself. I look at Kenny and I'm like, dude, the dude is crazy, right? He is crazy for all these, but he's not going to compromise. He wants to be the #1 in the entire world. Cool, bro, I'm going to rock with you. I'm down for this, right? So it's like, I'm not going to permit myself to compromise. And I love this, that once you permit yourself to compromise, you fail yourself. So I wanted to turn it to you guys, and I wanted to have a quick dialogue. I want to have some conversations. Hopefully this has sparked some type of thoughts in each of you. My question to you is, can you tell me of a time where you accomplished something that you felt that at the start of it, maybe you were not able to, and then you accomplished it, and what happened past that? Who did you become? What did you realize about yourself? How did you grow from that experience? How did you grow from that moment? Because I promise you, whether it's athletics, whether it's business, whether it's relationship, whether it is whatever, I'm sure each of you have experienced that. So I want to encourage, I want to implore, and I want to hopefully inspire someone to grab the mic first and speak about an experience, because once one of you goes, you all go. And I appreciate you, Sil. Sil, let's hear from you first and foremost. Let's turn it over to the lady in red.
Okay, good morning. I see that my virtual background is actually my logo.
Yeah, I see it.
What happened was I met this guy and he asked me to write a movie, and he said that he could get some an actor to come up from Los Angeles and we could produce this movie. And excuse me, at the time I had never written a screenplay. And so I started writing this movie, but I wasn't sure because I had never done it before. And I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to do it because I didn't know what I was doing. So I stopped midway because of fear. And I took a book that I had already written, and I went online and found a screenwriting program because I knew it had to be formatted a certain way. I knew the font had to be a certain size and a certain font. So I found one, and I began converting my book in from, excuse me, from a novel into a screenplay. So I did that. And then this guy, I told him, you know, I had stopped writing a movie, and I saw that people were starting to make do web series and stuff with their iPhone, because I had no money. And I knew if I produced this movie this guy was talking about, I was gonna have to pay for everything. I was gonna have to pay for the actor. I was gonna have to pay for the DVDs, pay for the art, pay for everything. And then I'm thinking that after we do all of that, it might end up in the dollar bin at Walmart. So I didn't have the money for that. So what I did was I asked a couple of friends of mine who I knew did filmmaking and stuff. And we put together a cast, we put together a crew. Some of the people had already read the book. I wrote it in 2008. And it just morphed into a web series. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook. And so at first it was just something fun. And then this lady contacted me and she said she was from France. And if I ever needed somebody that spoke French in the series, she was available. I told her, we don't have any money. We're doing it for the love of the craft right now. She said she didn't care. And I looked on Facebook at the statistics and I see that I have viewers from all over the world. And I was in a play and this lady walks up to me and she says, "You're Silnita," because I use my stage name is Silnita. And I'm thinking, who is this lady? And she says, "You're the creator of Best Friend Blues." And I'm like, oh my God. And so now we still have no money, but we still have a big following. I just decided to wrap the first volume. I just can't go anymore. We're going to start with a new one. But just recently I did an open house for Dana. It was Dana's listing. I did it with Rakitha, and one of the people who came by to look at the open house, we were talking and he claimed that he was associated with some filmmaking here in Oakland with the movie Blind Spotting and the TV series Blind Spotting. And my daughter was in both of those. And I just happened to have a card from my series and I gave it to him. And it was obvious that he recognized something. It was some kind of familiarity when he looked at it. I don't know if he recognized the series or if he recognized some of the actors, but then he offered to try and get me some financing to produce a movie and to re-release my web series, but he was kind of creepy. So I told him that's okay. And then the very next day, someone called me up and they wanted to start production again on a TV show, and they wanted me to be the executive director. I had no clue. I just write because that is my gift. I'm a really good writer. I'm a really good actor, according to my acting teacher, and that's my gift. And I just do it because it's super easy. But I had no idea that it was going to morph into what it has. I'm done.
Beautiful. Good stuff. So, and congratulations. So let's hear it, you guys. So what I want to be clear on is like the correlation. Tell me about something that you sought out, whether it was 100-mile run, whether it was something that you did, and then like what was the challenge and how you grew from that. And so I want to hear from you guys because I think that there's power in this story because you've all gone through all kinds of crazy stuff in your life. And so who wants to share next? Please raise your hand, take yourself off of mute, put your hand up. Anybody going to share on this one? Why are you guys being shy this morning?
I'll go, E. Put it on blast.
All right, go.
To just correlate everything we're talking about and tie it into real estate. I've told you guys plenty of times that my brother was murdered 9 years ago. And I transitioned into radio. For some reason, after 3 months of just being in the bed and not getting out of the bed, something told me to go to somebody I know who did radio. And in that process of starting, like when we first started, I had like probably like 5, 6, 7, 8 people, and it was just family. And I would go to the bar every weekend and I would sit there with some of my friends and I would tell them, one day I'm going to interview big name celebrities. That's my goal. And just off the hard work, putting the time in, and to escalate that to real estate in boot camp, which I'm going through currently, is I can't sit around and hope to get sales if I ain't doing shit. So just like then, I took to the boots running. I would go to concerts, paying my own money, getting VIP tickets and everything just to get into the aura of backstage, to get with managers, to actually get with the acts. And as I kept putting in that work, I kept getting manager contacts. I kept getting direct links to those promoters, to people that did functions in smaller places. So I just kind of worked the Bay Area. In those contacts, I got bigger contacts. And the fact that I just kept my head down and just kept networking. the results came in. And then I remember like another time going to the bar, that same person that was there when I first started, he was like, wow, I can't believe it. Like, you just interviewed Chuck D, you just interviewed Ice-T. Like, man, like you were sitting here like 3 years ago and you said you were going to do it, and now you're doing it. And to existence. And I know last week we talked about that, and I know we're talking about this currently, but they coincide, because I really feel as going through that process, and even talking my son into fruition, like I told Eric yesterday, I'm a real firm believer, if you really put your mind to it and you keep saying it, like the affirmations. We were really big on that. Like, you know, if you keep writing that shit down and you keep putting it up in that ticker, it's gonna happen. Like, it's happened to me multiple times in my life. That's how I found my spot. That's why I did that video yesterday, and I dropped it and I put those words in it, because I mean it. When I come up here and I tell you guys don't know what you guys do for me. Just sitting in these classes, you know, I feel more gamed up just off of listening from Ernesto to Life's coaching, to Kenny on his Instagram, throwing gems out there, and my direct support system out here with Cortez and Chris. Yesterday, Chris didn't want to go to coaching. He was kind of down on himself the last few days, and fucking I like, come on, let's go. Like, you know, I just kept telling him. And yesterday's motherfucker outworked me yesterday. Got 18 conversations, did over 160 calls. So just stay with the affirmations, stay focused, and believe that you can really talk yourself into being what you want to be and where you want to be in life.
I love it. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah in a second. This game's going to hurt, right? It's gonna hurt. Like, there's going to be moments in this game where it is super, super painful. I want to share this with you. Dean wrote that I think that a runner will always embrace pain. He says, we know pain is a part of being alive. When I set out to run 100 miles, I know it'll hurt. So delve into it, embrace it, celebrate the full emotional range of being a human being. And I thought that was super powerful, because you guys have to understand that this game is going to be painful, but I tell you what's on the other side of the pain. Like, when we say choose your hard, what is on the other side of this, right? Like, if I look at this over the next 5 years, and if I do everything that I told myself that I know that I can do and I want to do, and I do the action every single day, how will your life change? How many trips can you send your mom on? Can you buy your mom a condo? Like, just think about this. My mom is 61 years old. All I want to do is buy my mom a little place that she can retire in and never have to worry for the rest of her life, right? My mom's going to inherit some money in a couple of years. And she's like, what do I do with all that money? I'm like, you just save your money, mom. Just chill. Let's go on vacations. Do what you want to do. But like, what if, right? What if past all the pain, there was this life that you truly, truly wanted for yourself? Sarah, let's hear from you. Sarah Long.
Okay, so it's funny you brought up the San Diego half marathon, because I've done that 5 times, the half. Let's not get that twisted, the half marathon. And literally the next day, like, could not walk, had to be like in the spa all day. So this is crazy that you brought that up, and that guy did 15 in a row. I can't. But it was through Team in Training, which raised money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So that's who I ran for every year that I did. I did it 5 years in a row. And in the 4th or 5th year, this was a while ago, probably like 8 years ago, they like nominated me for Woman of the Year, which sounds really cool. But all that means is they're like, raise as much money as you possibly can for TNT, for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And so I already had a full-time job. I was actually working in radio too, and tackled this, and it became like my second job. I basically had 3 months to raise as much money as possible. So I hit the ground running. I went to restaurants, I went to bars, I created 8 different events, you know, got everybody, like listeners and stuff, to come out, got the restaurants and the bars to commit to giving a percentage of the drinks that we ate, or, you know, or the food that we ate, percentage of that to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Found all these different ways to raise money at the, you know, we had raffle tickets, we had prizes, at the, you know, pub crawls we did. I arranged like 4 different pub crawls. Notice everything I arranged involved drinking, but there's like all these like fun events. And it was so hard. And I really, look at, he's like, knows how hard it was. He's like, the struggle was real. But it was crazy how much I went outside my comfort zone, going up to strangers in restaurants and bars and asking them to help out, telling people, you know, hey, will you donate? Will you buy these shirts I made? Being creative, trying to find ways to raise the money in the first place. It was so hard. But because it was for such a good cause that I believed it, I mean, I really gave it everything I had. And I came in second. There was like 8 of us that ran. And I raised over $30,000. And with all the other money that I've raised for team and training, it's like over $87,000 that I've raised. And every penny of that was through really hard work, asking people, being prepared to be told no, and going extremely out of my comfort zone, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, Mom, you're not paying attention to me.
100%.
So sorry, I love this, and like the ability to build for such a great cause. Let me ask you a mindset question. When you're running a half marathon, which is what, 13.1 miles, correct?
Right.
So you're doing a 13.1 miles at 7 miles in, 8 miles in. What's
Right.
the conversation you're having with yourself, and how do you keep yourself going when your body says, I'm done, I want to quit, give me something to drink, I want to sit down? Like, what keeps you going?
It's literally like one more step. Okay, I'm going to go to the end of that road that I'm going to turn. Okay, and then now my next spot is like that house where those people made the signs, they're cheering you on, I'm going to pass them. Okay, now I've got 0.4 miles till I hit 8 miles, just go the 0.4 miles. All right, now I got 8 miles, only 4 miles. Like you just,
Yes.
I was trying to get to that next spot, whether it's like one small step or then one more mile, but just like move.
I love this. I love this. Good share. I love this. I'm actually going to go to Jim in our Fairfield office. My man, you've been a runner, you've done marathons. Like, I want to hear from you, man. Tell me about the psychology behind it, what you go through, and like how you are able to persevere in these moments where your mind is saying, or your body is saying absolutely no. Like, what is that conversation with yourself?
Yeah, I did a marathon, my first marathon, and it took me an hour and 45 minutes. I did a lot of walking in between too, because it was hurting. It was all uphills and whatnot. The fight was all mental at the same time. So now thinking about when I first started till now, it's still the same fight. I'm still fighting. That's my own mindset. But now I'm a little more, it's a lot easier. Now I can actually run farther and whatnot. So, but ultimately, I'm still fighting that same battle. I'm still fighting with my own mind. Now I just think of, I don't think of the current, I try to stay present. So why am I doing it? And, am I doing it for my health? Am I doing it? So I just keep that in my mind the whole time. And I just don't I don't talk myself out of it.
So Jim, do you use the same mental practice when prospecting, going through real estate? Is it like the same chemical and same part of your brain that you're using?
I think so. I really think so, because if I talk myself out of it, then I'm not going to do it. So it's the same with running. If I think of the negative, then I'm not going to do it. So if I'm thinking of the positive, then I want to do it. It'll be fun doing it.
Man, I absolutely love this. I love this. Omar, man, I know that you've been through it, bro. Like, you've gone through it. When I first met you, you were going through it, and you've persevered over the years. So can you talk to us about a challenge that you were able to grow from, that you were able to mentally get past, and like how it helped shape you and help grow you, man? Because you've been through so much. Omar, you want to chime in?
Yeah, for sure, man. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, brother.
So yeah, I guess back in 2009, when you ask that question, the first thing I think of is what happened to me like back in 2009. So long story short, I worked at a bank. I was in a position where I was to be trusted, and I made one of the biggest mistakes of my life without going too deep into it. I got in trouble, and I was facing, it was one of the scariest times of my life. I was facing 4 felonies. Like, I didn't really know what, like, I didn't know what was going to happen, you know? So I ended up losing my job. I ended up having to scramble and figure out what I was going to do. And before everything, before it hit, and before I had any record or any charges, I went and I got my life insurance license, and I was able to get my license before any charges hit. And I grinded my butt off, man, to pay off any restitution that the bank that I was going to be on, you know, to the bank and for what I did. And I was able to do it, and I was able to pay the restitution, get the 4 felonies dropped, ended up getting a misdemeanor, and I was on a high. You know, I was in a new environment. I was with the pivot to life insurance. I was able to make some decent money, so I thought I found my calling. 2 years into the game, I was like 1%, top 1% in the company, nationwide, on a high, making decent money. 24 years old, and then came back to bite me again. So the misdemeanor, you know, state of California found out about it, lost my license, and this is that whole cycle again of like losing my job, not knowing what was going to happen to me. I was super young at the time, didn't have any kids, but still, like, just the roller coaster of the one mistake that I made. It was super challenging. So during that time, there was a lot of ups and downs, man, a lot of odd jobs, a lot of things I had to do to support myself, to make ends meet. And man, I reapplied for that license in life insurance multiple times, got denied again, and again. And I was just starting to think like what's going to happen to me? Like, can I ever get a regular job, or even can I even get back into that kind of job? Can I ever have a state license again? Like, you know, a lot of things going through my mind. But I just kept pushing, man, and just try to hold that end vision in my head. Like, eventually, I know I made the mistake. I learned from it. You know, I paid everything back. Really regret it. I know it's going to be on my record forever. Long story short, I was able to get it expunged. Kept trying for my insurance license. Kept denying me. So I'm like, all right. I've always had this thing in my mind, like I want to sell real estate. Ever since I was younger, my uncle, like, he's the whole reason I got into real estate. And I feel like it's more for like material reasons, I guess. He was the only uncle in my family, that first uncle to own a house, first uncle to, I'm like 10 years old, I see a Mercedes, and I'm like, my dad's driving, and nothing against when my dad is driving, but I was just like, wow, a Mercedes, you know, wow, a BMW. So I'm like, what do you do, uncle? And he's like, I sell houses. And so that was my introduction to like, oh, well, you can make money in real estate. And so, not knowing anything else, that's why I was drawn to it. And so eventually I decided, you know, let me shoot for this real estate license. I mean, I've been denied so many times for the insurance license. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? So I go for it. I study. I passed the first time, and I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Sorry, guys. I passed, and then they denied me. They didn't give me my license. And so I was like, crap, shit, here we go again. And so I was like, you know what? I feel like in my heart, I did everything I needed to do, and I really wanted to push for that second chance. So I appealed it, denied me again. And so I got a lawyer. We did everything we needed to do, packaged everything right, resubmitted it. Long story short, man, they gave me my license, and I was like, you know, here's my shot. And so then it was a matter of finding a brokerage. Interviewed with Elias at Klein. And I think, you know, we really vibed. I think I would have been a good fit for the team. I don't know. I think Elias, I hope he felt the same way, but we weren't able to work it out. And again, the same feeling of like, shit, I got my license. Now I can't work I can't get a job. I can't get hired, or I can't hang my license at any brokerage. So EXP crossed my radar. I started looking into it. I reached out to the broker. They said, yeah, we'd be more than happy to, you know, have you. And then, but there was really nothing going on back at that time with EXP in the area. And so Kenny was referred to me by a buddy. And so I'm watching Kenny. This is around the time that he was leaving Climb and everything was going on. So I'm like watching his stories as he's interviewing with all these brokerages. So I'm kind of like interviewing with the brokerages too at the same time. And when he chose EXP, and I was already looking into EXP, I had already spoke with the reached out to the state broker. She said it was cool with my background and everything. Like, and the rest is history. So I got my second chance. I'm here.
Yes.
I'm selling real estate. I ended up getting my life insurance license back. So, which is why I dabble still in life insurance, just because it's almost like a victory, a personal victory for me, like to finally get that back. But yeah, man, I'm just
Love
happy to be here. Happy to be in the room with you guys. Happy to be able to sell real estate, insurance, legit. So yeah, man, super
Yes.
blessed.
You know, I didn't know that he was going to tell a story, and thanks for the vulnerability and like actually telling the whole story. I had to tell Omar no when we were at Climb Real Estate. I had to say, no, man, like, we'd love to have you here, but Realogy states that I can't bring you on. I put this email together. I'm like, let's give this dude a shot. He sells Mercedes, like, he's got sales skills, he's got a great personality, he'll be a good fit for the company. And they said, no way, no how. And then when Climb dispersed, and then I saw him, he was one of the OG Team Fast members. And like you said, the rest is history. So Omar, love the story. Mark, I've been seeing your head nod throughout this. So was wondering if you can share a time where you've gone through something, you grew from it, and like how you kept yourself in the fight, my man.
Yeah, well, interesting enough. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
One of the biggest kind of trials, tribulations I went through as a struggle that I went through in the real estate space was when this girl I was dating said, hey, you ever think of maybe moving to San Francisco? And we're down here in Orange County, right? And I was like, hey, I've always loved San Francisco, never really spent that much time there other than like a weekend vacation or something. But I said, yeah, you know, I'd be open to it. She quickly takes a job up there. And so she moves, she's living with her best friend, and I'm still down here in Orange County and really trying to figure out this whole like long distance thing, if this is going to work out. And at the time I was a coaching client of Tom Ferry, right? So I reach out to him personally and I said, hey man, this is something I'm thinking of doing. What do you recommend me if I'm going to switch markets? What do you recommend? And his whole thing was just, you know, you just need to make sure that you have lead sources. That's it. Don't worry about anything else. You need lead sources. So what are your lead sources going to be? Right. So I'm looking around, same thing, looking at brokerages. We didn't know if we were going to live in Silicon Valley or in the city or anything like that. And I kind of had like a stipulation that if I was going to move up there, I want to live in the city. Right. So we found a place in Soma, close enough to Caltrain, and my wife, she's now my wife. That's the end of the story, but she's now my wife. We have 2 kids, but the girlfriend at the time, so she could walk to Caltrain, take it down to the Silicon Valley where she was working in Redwood City. But I was looking around at different brokerages in the city. And prior to moving up there, I had stumbled upon Climb, right? So I had a couple conversations with Chris and Mark, and it was a long process, but was able to find a good home there and a great little fit that they were kind of putting together with an internet team, right? So I kind of fit into that, made some, I don't know, I made some deals happen and all that. And then this girl that I'm dating decides she doesn't want to work at this company anymore. She wants to start her own company. So she wants to move back down to Orange County. And so I was only there at Climb for like 6-7 months. And it was just a really interesting transition to go from one market to another and trying to start where you know 0 people, you know nothing about any neighborhoods, anything like that. It was a real growth moment. And so right around that time, I got introduced to a gentleman named Travis Robertson, who's also a coach, and started coaching for him. And I thought that this transition that I made from doing pretty well here down in Orange County to transitioning up to the Bay Area and doing okay for 6-7 months, I thought that that was something that I could really help other agents with if they were starting from scratch and how to do it. And so when I started coaching other agents, found a passion for that, found a calling there, and have continued to do that since then. So 6-7 years in, to working with other agents to help them get their business off the ground. So that was a real growth moment for me in my career, that I was able to find my footing, and now I can help other people do the same.
Good, man. I love it. I love it. And crazy that you were at Climb and now our passive cross. Kenny, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so we never met before, Mark, but so when Climb won the brokerage of the year, 2015 from Inman, and I won most innovative agent of the year, then Mark Choey, one of the owners, like, hey, there's this E-team that we had. The guy, I think he's leaving. His name is Mark. And then, so I guess when you left, I took over your position of this thing we built, and we merged profiles. And then that was kind of the early days. Now, kind of like Zillow Flex, but we ran that program really successfully. So really cool to meet you. It's a small world.
I know, definitely. I remember how that was all taking place, and it was an interesting thing that they had set up there. It was a bit of a struggle, but when I heard that, you were kind of taking things over, I'm like, they're in perfect hands.
Awesome. I love this, you guys. So I think the premise of the story and why it was important to bring this up is that even if you don't run, and that's not part of like your routine, I think it's important to read anything that's written by Dean. And let me spell his last name for you. It's Karnazes. I read that book, the Confessions of an All-Night Runner, the Ultramarathon Man, and it absolutely changed my life. And it correlates everything to mindset. Your body can do it, right? We're capable of extreme feats in our life, but it's mentally we stand in our own way. And it's the same thing with making calls. We've all had the challenge of like, oh, I don't want to make my calls. I don't want to do this. Someone's going to tell me no. Someone's going to hang up on me. Like we can all do it. And I think that we're, like he said, we're capable of more than what we even realize at times. And so I thought it was a powerful conversation to at least have, to share with what I've learned from this dude over the years, and like to see, like, to do 50 marathons in 50 consecutive days in 50 different states. Like, we're capable of absolutely, and like, think about that. That's absolutely crazy. So want to go around the room, want to get a couple key takeaways from people. And Jim, the office is looking dope. I like what you guys got going on over there. It's looking cool. So let's go key takeaways. Let's go to Delina. Is that Michelle next to you? What's up, you guys?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Delina. Let's hear from you. Key takeaways from today's sesh.
Hearing everyone's story is just, I feel like, that motivates me, like, to get out of my own head. And, we all go through things, but we shouldn't let that stop us from doing what we can do.
Love it. Love it. And Michelle, I don't think you've ever spoken in group coaching. Let me hear from you. What's your key takeaways from today's sesh?
Well, I just got here. So
okay.
I guess the mindset thing, like, I'm trying to get over the calls and I have a Zoom. Oh my God.
It's a buyer's consultation today at 12. So we're practicing today, or we're going to prepare.
All right, so check this out. Delina doesn't have to help Michelle, but Delina's there to support you, to help. And that's true brotherhood and sisterhood in our environment. So Delina, shout out to you. And Michelle, shout out to you for taking this step in the journey, because it's not easy. But I promise you, once you do this, you'll be like, it wasn't that bad. Eric wasn't that hard on me. And this is all about growth and about you reaching another level in your career. So appreciate you. Good stuff. Danielle Martinez, let's hear from you. Key takeaways from today's sesh.
Hey, I guess the obvious, getting out of your head, but it's really true how you said something earlier. It's not your body that can't do it. It's your mind that tells you your body can't do it. And it's not just your body, it's in everything you do. If you're sitting there just trying to decide what to do for the day, what's most important for today, trying to get everything done for the day. It's like every day, sometimes you need to recharge yourself. The end of yesterday maybe sucked, but today you can't let it affect you today. You got to start again.
Totally. What someone told me early on in my career, and I thank you for saying that, Danielle, that there's going to be a sell made today. And you're either going to sell yourself on all the reasons why you should go out and prospect and make the calls and make the connections, or you're going to sell yourself on all the reasons why you can't, why you shouldn't. It's bad timing. Oh my God, my hair, I'm not good. All these things. So a sale is going to be made today. You have to make the choice. So Daniel, I really, really appreciate you saying that. Ernesto, key takeaways from today's sesh.
I think it's really powerful to hear. I think it brings us closer together. Omar's story is deep, almost made me cry. His grit is phenomenal. But I think also These calls, usually it's a lot of newer agents for the most part. A lot of times we hear like the sports analogies and like the personal struggle analogies and maybe the substance abuse analogies. And we kind of have a hard time relating that to our own journey. But even hearing like Kenny's on the call, right? Kenny can tell you how many deals he did in his first year or two. Like it wasn't, I don't think it was that many. And Kenny's one of the best at what he does in the world.
I saw one home my first year.
One home, right? Wilson Chung. I think Wilson dominates the peninsula. Wilson Chung, if you guys look him up, I think he did less than 10 his first year. There was a guy on Instagram the other day went 18 months without a deal and was just like super frustrated. And then yesterday I was hanging out with a really good friend of mine who I've known for over 10 years. I used to be his manager when we sold phones together at Verizon. Kevin Cruz, if you guys don't know who he is an absolute monster in Daly City. But I think he did like 6 deals his first year. So if you're listening to these stories and you're like, well, how does this make sense for me as a realtor? I'm newer, I'm struggling. When am I going to get my first deal? Why am I not getting traction? And the lesson is like for everybody, including myself, you have to stay the course. Like you just have to stay the course. So
Yeah, I love it.
it's really helpful for me.
You guys, Julie on our team, the members agent, didn't get a deal for 10 months. 10 months. 10 months, you guys. In pandemic year in 2020, Jen Oak, who was our top producer and has been, last 2 consecutive years, she went 6 months without an escrow. 6 months without an escrow, single mom, like almost got to the point where it's like, I'm worried, but she stayed focused on her marketing, stayed focused on her follow-up, and then ended the year at $20 million in production. And she did that in 6 months. 6 months, you guys. So it's like anything is possible. Let's hear from Carla. Carla, for you, key takeaways, and hopefully you're feeling better. Good to see you. Let's hear from you. Key takeaways from you.
Sorry, I was late for like 30 minutes, so I listened. But so far what I rescue is just like to keep on track and not giving up. It's kind of like, like you were saying, running marathons, just like keep pushing yourself until the end, until the finish line.
I love it.
Everything,
I love it.
work and everything. Yeah.
I appreciate your insight. Is that Zyra right there? So Zyra, you've been in the gym quite a bit lately. We see you. I tried to take the shot of pre-workout in my mouth like you did and I almost choked. But anyways, I want to ask you, like, what are some of your takeaways? Because you have been on this huge health kick, like you're working hard. We're seeing your progress. Like what are some of your key takeaways from today? Because I'm sure this conversation probably resonates with you.
So my biggest takeaway is it's not the destination, it's the journey. And I think that's something that I've been focusing on for the past a couple of weeks, really changing that mindset. And I can't remember who said it, Sarah, I think. The Power of One More. It's actually a book that I just got by Ed Milet. And it's The Power of One More. And he talks about exactly what Sarah said. It's instead of focusing on the future, focus on what you can do today. So don't focus on the tomorrow, focus on, okay, today I'm going to crush it. And whatever doesn't go right today, like the next day, focus on just doing one more of each thing. So that was one of my biggest takeaway. The gym is pretty similar. Some days you don't get those lifts. Some days you get hurt. My knee has been hurt, and it's funny because it wasn't even with weight. But it's been really bothering me, not being able to go full force, but it's okay. And sometimes you have to take a step back and just keep pushing. So
I love this. I absolutely love it. Chris, I saw your hand up. I appreciate you sharing. Oh, you know what? Yeah, Ed Milet, his name came up twice yesterday. It was in a group chat yesterday. Can you just put that down below? And then it came up again right now. Chris, and then I saw one other hand up, and then we'll come full circle.
Kind of piggybacking off of what Ernesto said, I know that everybody on here probably haven't been an athlete or they haven't gone through a certain level of personal trauma in their life, but what everyone can relate to is being in a situation that is hard to be in, and it takes a certain level of bravery to get past it. And that's what I got from everything. You gotta, with that perseverance, is meeting the challenge, be uncomfortable, battle through it, and everything's all good. that's pretty
Man,
much
I love it. And Chris, man, shout out to you, bro. Like I've just seen you show up, and a lot of you are showing up in big ways. But man, you're doing things that you said were super, super uncomfortable to you, man. And so I really appreciate how you've stepped up. I want to share this quote with you guys. It's once again from something that Dean wrote. Struggling and suffering are the essence of a life worth living. If you're not pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, if you're not demanding more from yourself, expanding and learning as you go, you are choosing a numb existence. You are denying yourself an extraordinary trip. I read that. I thought it was powerful. Don't deny yourself the extraordinary trip, you guys. Go out and do the things that you guys know are going to be tough. Take the knocks on the chin, do the hard things, because I promise you there is growth on the other end. I've been knocked in the jaw over and over and over again in this business, and I'm so grateful to have done that. So let's go out there and push ourselves. If you guys are not athletic and you guys are wanting to be more athletic, the sun is out. It is shining. Go out there and walk a mile. If you walk a mile, so you know what? I could probably go a mile 2.5. I could probably go a mile and a half. I could probably do 3 miles. Shit, am I only going to walk halfway around Lake Merritt? No, well, the whole entire loop around Lake Merritt is 3 miles, right? Like, go out and give yourself something, because we all can do it. We're all capable of doing more than what we do. So really, really appreciate you guys. Tap into Dean. He is an amazing author, amazing writer. Incredible content. The fact that he has mastered his mind and what he's accomplished correlates to everything that we do. So I want to appreciate our guests, Mark, and other people that are here, Tom Costello, people that are here, they're first timers. Thank you. Omar, huge shout out to you, brother. I didn't expect for you to share the story, but I'm really, really glad that you did. And I think everyone else on the call is really glad that you did, because I didn't know that. And you know what? Omar hasn't been at group coaching for a minute, and he started coming in the last couple of weeks. And he's like, man, I'm excited to be here. So, bro, thank you for dropping some gems on us today. Thank you for everyone else for sharing and contributing to this space. Appreciate you guys. See you back here Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Elias, forgive me. What was the name of that book? The last book you quoted? Don't Deny Yourself. Forgive me. Dean what?
It is The Confessions of an All-Night Runner, the ultra marathon man, The Confessions of an All-Night Runner.
Cool. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Sarah, the baby, is absolutely adorable.